Then in 1823 they established the Greek state, and it was internationally recognized. Then revolts were starting in the islands of the Aegean. The first island to revolt was the Crete. Crete was started to revolt in 1819. It gained independence with Greece, and then it was connected into the Greek state. Eleftherios Venizelos then became the prime minister. So after that, now the Greece was contributed by Cyclades, Peloponnese, Central Asia, and the island of Avia and the island of Crete. And then the Balkan Wars came in. Bulgaria, Montenegro, Serbia and Greece were together agreed into fighting the Ottoman and throwing them out of the Balkans. In 1922, they started a war against the Ottomans.
Really?
The Serbians and Montenegro were the first one to move their troops against Montenegro, and Bulgaria came in.
You can rest after the battle is over.
Greeks
Let's
were
go,
the
man.
only country that were having a very substitute and very appropriate navy in order to stop reinforcements of the Ottoman army from Anatolia. So, the Greek navy was awarded because of its very excellency after defeating the Ottoman fleet.
Give me the view because I have that reason. They kill me with the
flagship of the Greek navy was the George Zaverov. George Zaverov was forced to face the whole Ottoman fleet in the Battle of Limnos and the Battle of Lesbos. They defeated the Ottoman fleet. So, to sum up, the Greek fleet were able to liberate the north and east islands of Aegean. With the end of the First Balkans, the Bulgaria wasn't very happy about its territorial gains. She thought that she was very cheated, and she were given very few territories. So he started war against its ex-allies Montenegro, Serbia and Greece. But then the Turkey was also brought against Serbia and fought together alongside the Greeks. So with the end of the Second Balkan War, the Greece was expanded, giving the whole Macedonia into the Greek state. With the start of the First World War, the Greece was divided between the Venizelos, the ones who were following the Prime Minister Eleftherios Venizelos, and the King George, which was a friend of the Germany. So they were having an argument in which place to enter. They were like, okay, King George, we have to enter the Axis. And Venizelos were like, no, because the intent is going to win the war. And then, until 1970, a civil war was broke out in Greece between the Venizelos and the ones who were following the king. So, after the civil war, the Venizelos won, and the Greece was joined the Entente. She was sent Greek troops in the Ukraine and in Bulgaria. So they were fighting for the last 1 year. But this was very essential in the Balkans because they helped to keep the front there against the Bulgarians and Germans. After the First World War, the Greece was also given the whole Thrace, the Constantinople and the coast of Anatolia, the worst one. So after that, the Greece was wanted to start expanding its territorial into Anatolia. So the Greco-Turkish War started. The opponent was the Turkish nations and the Greek nation. So the whole pole of this, let's say, war was Smyrna. The region was Smyrna, in which was like I can't explain because it's a bit complicated situation. But let's say that Greeks was started the Asia Minor campaign. So they started pushing the Ottomans back into the central Anatolia. So until 1921 they pushed the Ottomans among the Ankara, and the last battle was the Battle of Sankara. But this was the point that Greeks stopped because they were run out of ammunition and they didn't have bullets in their weapons to fight and continue the campaign in Anatolia. All this, but let's see the history back from this. Why did the Greeks didn't have the help in this situation from its ex-allies, France, Italy, and England? So before the Asia Minor campaign, the Venizelos lost the elections, and the king just returned. This was a movement that Andent wasn't agreed to that because they had warned Greece that if the King George would return to its throne, we won't help you in the Asia Minor campaign. So that's why the Greeks failed in the Asia Minor campaign. They failed to liberate Anatolia. And this resulted in Greece losing the administration of the region of Smyrna and the West Thrace. No, the West Thrace, sorry, the eastern one, the East Thrace. So, and then a great population exchange was followed. Almost 500,000 Turks were forced to leave Greece, and almost 2 million Greeks were forced to leave Anatolia and go in Greece. After that, the things were a bit more, let's say, friendly. Like in the Second World War, Greece was able to stop the Italian invasion, and then the Turks were here to help. They were sending rations to the Greeks to hang on. Greeks was able to organize one of the best resistance in the Second World War. With the end of the World War II, Greece was having a casualty of 800,000 civilians and soldiers. After the Second World War, in 1947, a civil war was brought out between the communists and the Democrats. Stalin wanted to influence Greece into... So they were forced to fight the communists. Stalin wanted a communist Greece, so he wanted to have a communist base in the Balkans. So Greece would be appropriate for that. It could even influence the Anatolia because it is in the crossroads of Anatolia, Africa, and Europe. So for 3 years, communists and Democrats were slaughtering each other. After that, the Greece was trying to, let's say, stand in its own feet because of the ruins it has from the Second World War. In 1969, the Greek general the George general started a military junta. So for almost 5 years, for 6 years, Greece was under military junta. But between the military junta, the Greek economy was restored and was very good from its time, despite despite the junta and the violations that were in the streets, they tried to and they achieved to restore the whole economy. They built new houses, new roads, new factories. After that, with the fall of the military junta, they were the first elections. So the right party PASOK, which won the elections, and then with the Prime Minister George Papandreou, make the Greece to join the EU, the European Union. After that, they all were very good. That they were like, everyone was very good in the lifestyle. But things were a little too exaggerated. They have been overdo it with the money. They were like, we have a lot of money, we can give to all of you. But this is why Greek economy was destroyed until 2016. During these years, Greece was forced to enter and leave an economic crisis, which hit the Greek people very hard. They were very poor people. There were a very huge rate of unemployment. But besides and alongside all the problems of Greece, it had also another problem: the Turkey. Turkey wanted, it has ambitious that they would be able to fulfill an idea they have to make the blue homeland. The blue homeland would see the half Aegean into Turkey, with the half islands to be Turkish. And that's why until today there are some arguments between Greece and Turkey. Turkey believes that Aegean isn't Greek and it's Turkish. Almost 18 islands are Turkish. That's what the Turkish delegate says. But this is very wrong. And that's why Turkey is fighting to take control of the whole Aegean. And that's why it doesn't even recognize the 12 nautical miles that each Aegean island has. And that's why we see the Turkish violations in the Greek island space and in the Greek territorial seas. And until today, but in the 2020, the relations were a bit more, let's say, extensive and aggressively. Turkey, the last years, were forcing immigrants fleeing from Turkey to Greece. But EU didn't even and still don't help the Greece to hang on with the immigrants. There are a lot of immigrants in Greece, and that's a very huge problem, and that's why Greece stopped and closed its borders into immigrants. So that's what were shown with the event on Evros, when immigrants were trying to cross the borders. And that's why they also tried and they were crossing the Aegean Sea. But also, Turkey has started a very diplomatically war and against Greece with a survey ship or rich race and Barbaros. They say that because of they think that Aegean is also Greek, they are also Turkish. They just send ships into the Greek exclusive economical zone. They don't even recognize neither the Cyprus nor the Greece's AAs. And all together, and there's something that I have to point in this thing. I have to point out something. Well, Israel, Lebanon, Egypt, Cyprus and Greece had signed some years ago a treaty that would see that a pipeline of gas would pass from these countries. But this treaty wasn't including Turkey. That's also a thing that why Turkey is very triggered from this. And yeah, and that's somehow how the relations are between Greece and Turkey. Are a little bit complicated, and yet that's how it is until today. And I can say that if this doesn't stop, Greece and Turkey will be brought into war, and it is inevitable. So, thanks for staying with me, guys. I really appreciate that. I don't know and very